she didn't tell me this for
Oh, of course.
5 years, 6, 7 years. And I pressed her. She still didn't want to answer, but she finally said, well, to be honest, I had hoped he would pass.
Are you looking for a way to drive growth, sales, communication, and retention in your academy? Kovar Systems 6-month Program Director course is designed to help members of your team thrive in the important role of Program Director. With step-by-step training, we will cover a wide range of topics, including prospect follow-up, overcoming objection, and securing enrollments. Our program will teach your team members to effectively communicate the values and benefits of martial arts, which can be a game changer in securing more enrollments at your academy. Our next 6-month course starts on this date, so don't wait and visit our site www.kovarsystems.com to get your team enrolled in the upcoming course. Again, that's www.kovarsystems.com. Enroll now and get ready to see some real results in your business.
Welcome to the Satori Lifestyle Satori Masters Podcast, the ultimate resource for ambitious, hardworking school owners that want to get their business and their life to the next level. My name is Dave Kovar. I'm a lifetime martial artist, business owner, speaker, and author. My goal is to empower listeners with the knowledge and the tools they need to break through barriers and really get their business and their life to the next level. Thanks for watching and enjoy. Welcome to the Satori Masters Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Kovar, and I'm excited to have my good friend here, Sifu Mark Goblowsky. How are you, sir?
I'm great, sir. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, man, thanks for being on the line. You and I have been friends for, 25 years. Does that sound about right?
Maybe. Yeah, probably at least.
Yeah. And I think, along the way, you've been in business a really long time. But what I'd like to do is first off, you don't hear as many people teaching Kung Fu professionally as you maybe did at one time, but that's what you teach, right?
Yeah, I love the Chinese arts, and I was blessed to have a good teacher and something of value, I believe, to offer.
No doubt about it. Well, so why don't you kind of take us through your journey? What got you started in martial arts?
Sure. The old TV series Kung Fu got me started in the martial arts, to be honest.
Me too.
I watched that show and I was like, oh man, this guy, he's got it all. Like, he is powerful, but he's peaceful. He's courageous, but he's calm and centered. And it was just like he had everything I didn't have growing up. And I wanted that.
Well, what's interesting, I don't know the last time you've actually watched a clip of the fight scenes. They are so bad. They are
it's cheesy.
But we didn't know any better. It was magic to me as well. It was like, okay, so you're watching the Kung Fu series, and you started when you were in the military? Is that when you started?
I started probably 15 years later when I was in the military. I was stationed in Korea. And of all things, besides Taekwondo, they actually had some Kung Fu there. And I joined the Kung Fu school. It's set right above a photo shop, a camera shop.
And so you got started in your training, and you, so what made you got out of the service? What made you open up a school?
It was my desire to have my Kung Fu instructor come to the United States so I could continue learning here and not have to travel. So I opened a school in the hopes that I would be able to get a work visa for him to come and be the instructor, which didn't pan out. When I applied through the INS, they shut me down. So I in turn got him over here on a tourist visa with several of the students that came in. We toured around a little bit of the country doing demos and participating in some tournaments. So that was I got him over here, and then I was able to get him over here for like a couple 2 to 3 months at a whack after that.
Okay, to kind of help you. This is early when you first getting your school off the ground.
Yes.
That must have been pretty like, okay, you open the school because you want to get your instructor over, and then you can't get him over. By the way, I've sponsored, I think, 3 people to the United States, a couple of people from Korea, actually through martial arts, and it's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to do that. That's not easy to do it.
Yeah, we're talking back in 1988 or 89 when I applied. I didn't know what I was doing. I probably should have hired a lawyer, but
yeah, that's actually what we did. Yeah, and all the basics and that it was still rough. But if you did it on your own, that'd be really challenging. So you got into business, and you had at one point, I think you had 2 locations. Is that right?
I did. I did.
You were killing it. Like this is about the time I met you. You had 2 schools flying high.
Yeah, man, it was, I actually had a great life. I thought I had a great life. I did, and then I didn't. So I had 800 students. I had 600 students in one location, 200 in the second one that I opened up. And I realized that when I had one school with 600 students, I worked about 35 hours a week. I had a great income. Low stress. I had a great team. I opened up the second location, and the desire, not because I wanted a second location, but I wanted somewhere for my staff to grow into.
Right.
So I didn't do it for me. I did it for them. And I realized after I had that second location, like, this is not who I want to be. Like, I want to be in my school. I want to know my students, all 400 to 600 of them. I was happy there, but I realized 2 locations was not who I was.
But, it's really interesting. And I've given this, of course, I'm a multi-school,
Yeah.
And so we opened our second location. Actually, I don't know if you knew this. So when I first opened up, November of 1978, and you probably heard me tell that story a million times, and I was in business for about 3 years, and I got a call from this gentleman who, he's a local, he owns a big chunk of the city of Roseville. His name is Jerry Lee, and he's a very successful real estate guy. And he had a son who was a martial artist that was kind of getting into trouble and wanted to get back into martial arts. And so he offered me this building in this other community for super cheap, for actually free rent for the first 6 months. And then it was going to build up. So I actually had, when I was 22, I had 2 locations. The issue is that I didn't know, I still hardly know what I'm doing, but I really didn't know what I was doing then. And I had a guy named Tom teaching Monday, Wednesday, Friday at one location where I was at the other, and we were swapping back and forth, and it was miserable and hard. And the irony is this literally happened. Is I was trying to figure out how I could keep both schools open, or was I going to close one of them? And of course, I am hand to mouth. I'm paycheck to paycheck, and of course, I have a lot of students, but I'm giving everybody a deal because they're all my students. Nobody's charging full price, and I'm not charging anybody full price. And I had a party at my house, and someone stole my wallet, and in my wallet was all of my monthly checks for $300, in cash for, there was probably, I don't know, a couple $1,000, but that was like everything of course, the checks you could reclaim, but the cash you couldn't. But I was so unorganized, I couldn't even remember who had given me who the checks were from. Anyway, I ended up shutting down one of the locations. But I'm sorry for getting sidetracked. But the point that what I get at is that, man, so many times people open up a second location for the wrong reasons, right? And like, you got to have the desire. If you want to have more than one location, there's 4 things you have to have. Number 1 is you have to be financially, in a situation to do that. Number 2 is you have to have the team to put it in place, which means you can't be at location 1 and have somebody else at location 2, because whoever's there, because they're going to fall in love with some girl and move to Florida. Now you're trying to figure out how to run 2 schools, right? So you have to be able to be completely out of both locations. And then you have to have a great lease, and then you have to have the disposition to want to do it. And to your point, although I'm a multi-school operator, I could have very easily been in the trenches, lean and mean, just showing up at the dojo every day. That's a good lifestyle. And so that's kind of what you kind of figured out. But in the process of this, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but as my memory serves me, during that time in the industry, we're all like kind of overextending ourselves financially, and maybe did that happen to you at some point?
Yeah, I like to laugh about it because it was so darn painful.
You're not laughing, you're crying, but
I'm telling you. I started factoring out my contracts.
Most people don't even have a clue anymore because you don't hear it much. So explain to people in hindsight. By the way, I remember like when people were doing that, and I don't know that we ever factored, but we certainly discounted way more than we should have. But tell everybody what it means to factor.
To factor means I'm going to sell off my contract, the total for a percentage of the total value, which means I get cash up front, but I'm only getting maybe 40 to 60% of the value of the contract. Then whoever bought the contract collects the monthly payments, and I'm out of the picture. As far as but if the monthly payments go bad, I'm back on the hook.
So you have the worst of both worlds. You don't get
exactly.
So what happens is, instead of, someone's paying you, let's just say we're going back in time, $1,000 a year, was probably what it was back then, although it's a lot more now.
Yeah.
You're getting maybe $400 up front.
Yep.
But you still got to teach them for the whole year. And
yep.
So, yeah, but what happens is it feels really good for the first couple of months because you're infused with all this cash and you're thinking, look at this, man, look at how much money I made this month. And then if you don't watch it, you kind of spend it like it's going to keep coming in, and all of a sudden it's not coming in, and you got to get refunds, and all of a sudden the world gets tight.
Yeah. I was not a spender. So I put money away. It's not, I wasn't running out and buying a new BMW or a new Rolex or anything like that. But you're discounting it so much that it's really unsustainable. As far as I'm concerned, it's unsustainable. And the crazy,
go ahead.
Well, the crazy thing is if I had just been doing my billing through a regular billing company, my checks would have been huge. I mean, if 600 students at $85 a month, you're talking 60 or 50 grand a month.
Yep.
In 1995 or whatever. So the real wisdom is to be patient and understand the borrower is slave to the lender.
Yeah, man, that's really a good.
They own you.
So, just caveat, if you haven't been in the business a long time, there's nothing better than paying, first off, great service, as you do. You treat your students right, charge top dollar, and then don't discount too much. It's okay if you're going to get paid in full every now and then, but boy, how many people have you and I seen over the years go out of business because they got way too much cash up front, and it's not sustainable, especially if you don't have the habits to be able to put the money away and not use it. So let's switch gears. So, you were along the way, you had, a life-altering experience happen with my good buddy, your son, Josh. So kind of take us through, what happened to him when he was little.
Yeah. So I have a son. His name's Josh. He just turned 22. When he was about 3.5, he was in the back seat of his mother's car, strapped into his car seat, and they got hit by two different semi trucks. And it turned out to be a hit and run. The first one, who caused the entire accident, just kept on rolling. Second one stopped. Josh had sustained a massive traumatic brain injury. So both sides, both hemispheres, all the lobes and the brainstem, like every portion of his brain was damaged, which led to he couldn't even, like a newborn baby was better off than he was in that moment, because he couldn't even suckle a nipple.
Well,
he couldn't swallow his own spit.
And
it was
on the car, they wrote basically like, what was it? Yeah, hey,
they wrote on the windshield and on the back, across the back window, they wrote fatality. The police thought for sure that he wouldn't even make it to the hospital, and they wanted to make sure the car got kept for evidence in case they ever found the driver of the first semi.
So
that was horrible.
Yeah, you basically didn't, you basically were by his bedside, like you didn't leave the hospital for
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lived in a hospital. It was 2 different hospitals, but I lived there for about 4 months total.
Incredible. So what happened with your school? I know at the time there was other school owners that would come and kind of work, for a week. And so.
Yeah. I had some really great people, other martial arts school owners that tried to help out the best they could. But
it took its toll.
I dwindled down to 65 students. That was my total enrollment with my billing company that I use. educational funding company. And my rent was $4,600 a month. And it was escalating, like it was ramping up over the first few years. So, and this was while my revenues were dropping, in part because of the factoring issue, but then in part because I wasn't at the school, and just things not deteriorate. I don't want to say deteriorating, but it was rough, and people are patient, but they're only patient to a certain point.
And just hindsight to get through this. And by the way, $4,500 is still a lot of money, but remember that's by today's standards, that's the same as probably 10 grand in rent. It's like,
yeah.
So, by the way, just kind of fast forward a bit. Josh is now 22. An amazing kid. I love that guy. Even if he does like the Packers, he's still okay. But you've done such a spectacular job with them. And I'm sure not just you, but you've been the anchor, and I'm really helping him just evolve into this amazingly happy guy. That's involved in the school, and he's got some limitations physically, but what an amazing attitude. When you think of Josh now, I think of lights. Like he's just this. He's fun to be around. What, kind of describe where he's at now.
Well, so Josh, yeah, I would describe him as light and bright and easygoing. He's, he got compromised physically as well as, developmentally and intellectually. So he's kind of like a 9-year-old in a 22-year-old man's body, and he has a beard. So looking at him, you think, pretty much everything's okay. But in reality, I'm talking to a 9-year-old most days. But he's got a great sense of humor. He walks into the room and he brightens it up. He's gregarious. He loves, visiting with people. He follows directions from you when you tell him to punch his dad. He follows through 100% of the time.
Yeah, so when when Sifu Mark and I were talking on the phone, Josh will be there, and I'll talk to Josh, and I'll always say, "Hey, Josh, make sure to punch your dad in the arm." So, but the thing about Josh that I think that because we've talked a lot over the last couple of decades is that he's really kind of come to grips to where he's at with where he is in his life. Isn't he to a certain degree?
Yeah, he is, and it's it lends itself a little to. He's not real happy with it, even though he's coming to grips with it. He's a little disappointed because he's this guy who wants to be the man. Like he wants to be a dude. He wants to be able to kick butt, and he wants to be able to run a school, and he wants to be a leader. And like he wants what we all want as martial arts school owners. To be there and help people. He really wants to help people. But it's difficult for him to help or be that guy in the traditional sense. So we're constantly working on his mindset and developing other skills that he can use in the school and still be helpful and still be an encouragement to others.
Well, I think you've done like I know I've shared this before, a masterful job with him. I just, it's really remarkable. Here's this guy that nobody expected. And also at some point, the pediatrician had told you later on that she kind of secretly hoped that he was going to pass because of life didn't look too good at going forward. Is that right?
Yeah, that's 100% true. And his pediatrician had 5 kids of her own. So for her to tell me that when she saw all the diagnostics and the imaging.
Are you a martial arts business owner struggling to grow your school? Look no further than Kovar Systems. Our complete solution program offers comprehensive coaching and training for all aspects of your business, from student acquisition to staff development. Our one-on-one coaching provides guidance from a dedicated success coach, while our extensive library provides tools and strategies to help streamline your school's operations and drive sustainable growth. If you're ready to transform your school into a thriving, profitable business, schedule a complimentary 60-minute call with us today. With Kovar Systems, you'll experience work-life balance, significant revenue growth, and more time to do the things that you love. Take your business to the next level by visiting kovarsystems.com/podcast and schedule your free coaching call today. Again, that's kovarsystems.com/podcast.
That day, now she didn't tell me this for
Oh, of course.
5 years, 6, 7 years. And I pressed her. She still didn't want to answer it. She finally said, well, to be honest, I had hoped he would pass because I couldn't see a future for him or for you.
Oh, well, man. Yeah. So good that she didn't say that, when he not been
Yeah, thank God.
So in the process, so you recalibrated your school and you've been kind of lean and mean for years now, and you get this really loyal student body that's been with you forever. And you also, I don't know, several years back, you started your podcast, Strength Through the Struggle. And you've done right now you're kind of on hold with that, but you did about 150 issues with that. And the theme with this really was to take experiences like this, and most people don't have to go through what you went through, and become stronger because of it.
Yeah, I think, the strength through the struggle, though, that phrase means two things to me. One is that struggle leads to strength if you engage it, right? When you put your palms on the floor and you struggle to push yourself up from the floor, if you do it enough times, you get stronger if you're consistent enough with it. Okay. The other part of it is, I believe, to the depths of my soul, I believe anybody who's going through any struggle already has the internal strength to get through it. Now, I could be wrong, but I choose to believe, no matter who it is and no matter what you're confronting, you have what it takes. It's inside of you. It might take some digging. It might be difficult. I'm not suggesting it's easy in any way. It could be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, but I really believe you've got the strength to get through it.
Well, but I think, and who knows if that's true or not, but to a mindset is the right thing to do, because if there's ever any possibility of getting through it, that's the mindset that's going to get you through it. Yeah, I love it. And I was just thinking, I do a presentation, a workshop that I do for primarily CEO groups. And it's called Cultivating a Leadership Mindset, How Small Changes in Perspective Can Lead to Massive Progress. And one of the things that we talk about, and it just occurred to me right now, I probably got that subliminally from Strength Through the Struggle, is that that hard work, effort plus negative energy, negative emotion equals struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's struggling, and effort plus positive emotion is strength. And and I'm thinking, that's probably where I got that from. So thank you for that.
Brilliant. I like it. I like the way you neatly put a bow on it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Well, so now, fast forward, and you have recently had another. And by the way, this whole time you're operating your Kung Fu school, and things are moving along nicely, and you've had a couple of health issues come up, but kind of take us through what you've been through the last few months.
Yeah. So, I fortunately, I just went through open heart surgery, had a triple bypass.
Triple bypass, 2 weeks.
3 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yep, 3 weeks ago. I had 4 blockages, and they did a triple bypass to clean that up. So, how I came to it was not through cardiac arrest. I didn't have a heart attack and drop dead or whatever. Luckily, I was having some pain issues. And when I was talking to a doc, they asked if I ever had chest pains. Now, the pain issues were in my legs from some nerve damage. So they asked about if I ever had chest pain. And for the first time, I decided I would tell them the truth. I've had these pains for years, several years. And I've been asked that question more than once. But this time I thought, okay, I'm just going to tell them the truth. And I said, yeah, I do. and that triggered a stress test. The stress test, something wasn't quite right. So that triggered a visit to the cardiologist. That triggered 2 days later heart catheterization, where they found I had 4 blockages in my arteries, which triggered a visit to a cardiac surgeon. They chose, they could have put stents in. The cardiologist could have just put stents in right then and there to open up the blood vessels, but he pulled out and said, I want you to go talk to a surgeon. I'll do the stents if you want, but I think you need to talk to a surgeon. When I talked to the surgeon, it made a whole lot of sense that I was going to have to go through bypass surgery. And
And
that's where we are.
and well, but you also this is not something new to your family.
No, no. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Like, we have heart disease on both sides of the family.
I'm just making your day, aren't I?
You're making me laugh a lot.
Go ahead.
So, yeah. And my father actually, at the age of 52, back in 1987, died on an operating table getting a triple bypass, which kind of weighed on me in the, on the recesses of my mind. Is history going to repeat itself? Like, was your father's destiny? Is that going to be your destiny? Like, are you going to die on it? Yeah, it was tough getting to surgery from the 2 weeks that it took between the first appointment with the cardiac surgeon to the surgery date. Where I knew I was going to have the surgery. As a matter of fact, I'll just tell you this. One of my students was at the school on the Monday night before my surgery. And so I was at the school, and, people are like, hey, sir, good luck tomorrow. You're going to do great. And, everybody is super encouraging. And the day I got out of the hospital, this student came by. We were working on something in my home, and she said to me, sir, that Monday night before your surgery, it looked like maybe you thought this would be the last time you would ever see the school. And I'm feeling a little emotional right now just reliving it. But when she said that, I was like, man, you saw through me completely, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, this may be the last time I see any of these people or this school, at least from Earth's perspective.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So you came through this 3 weeks later. Everything went well. You're feeling
Yep.
good about your recovery. You kind of got a renewed sense of appreciation for life, I'm guessing. I feel like I'm putting words in your mouth.
Oh, no, man. Yeah, I have so much gratitude now, like every day. Yeah, I just can't be thankful enough to my creator and the world and the surgeons and everybody and everything and everywhere that I'm still alive. And
Well, I have 2 questions for you. So, number one is, how have you managed through, I mean, we all have challenges, right? There's a great quote, your challenges are bigger, I can see, but mine are happening to me. I've never been through what you've been through. I've had my challenges in their mind. So, I've still we've all had to learn to struggle, right? But
sure.
how have you kept how have you not become just a bitter person over all this? Because you have, if anybody has a right to become bitter over things, you've had a few things thrown at you that were out of your control that could have given you a reason to be.
I have my moments where I'm down. I would be a liar if I said everything. I'm positive all the time. But I saw what bitterness did to my father. He was an angry man. He was an angry man from the day I was born until the day he died. And I saw what it did to him, and I saw what it wouldn't allow him to be as a father and as a husband and as a businessman, and I saw how it was so devastating in his life. And I've seen it in other people, like bitterness really creates problems. My gosh, I mean, just massive problems everywhere you turn, whether it's in relationships or in business or whatever. And the other thing is hope. There's a book out there that says hope is not a strategy. And I get what they're saying, but I'm telling you, if you lose hope, you lose everything. Like you give up. The second you lose hope, you quit taking action. And I know from my martial arts training that action propels us forward, and inaction creates difficulty and creates problems and maybe moves us backwards even. So,
well, that's one of the main premises of the book, Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. That's what he saw when people would pass, is when they lost hope. So I also get the meaning that, they're talking about, don't just wish, you got to take action. That's kind of the premise of the book you're referring to. It's
yeah,
rely on hope, but man, what an important thing. And the thing about this is you've made a conscious choice to try to control your thought process and what you're looking at. And that's not easy to do. But so many people, they're not even aware that they have some control over their destiny or their, the weather's bad, they're in a bad mood. They don't really realize, you can kind of decide how you want to do it, take this, right? And so, so you're faced with adversity, and although of course sometimes you are less motivated, but you've made a conscious effort to, what, I'm going to handle this the best way I possibly can. So the next question I have for you, what advice would you give for a struggling martial arts school operator? Maybe things were great. Now they're losing interest, or it's becoming harder, or maybe they haven't recovered from COVID, or someone that just kind of, it's not quite working for them right now. So what would you tell them?
I would say stop whatever it is you're doing and or thinking, and look around at your situation and try to be objective about it, as opposed to the emotions that are stirred up by struggling, that are stirred up by financial distress, that are stirred up by not having a strong staff. But then I would take my vision out further and look around to other school owners who are succeeding. And then I would go and I would ask somebody to be my mentor. Or if I needed to, I would pay money to be part of an organization or an association or a mastermind or a group, so that I can be around people who are actively pursuing the positive things in the martial arts industry, which is, improving my school, improving my students, improving myself. And I got to tell you, there was a period where I quit getting around other martial arts school owners for several years. And so I'm speaking from experience to your question. I realized, holy cow, man, my attitude is changing, like after several years, because I wasn't associating myself with people who weren't without struggle, but together we're better. Yep. It's this thing, when we're together, we're better. It's easy if somebody grabs a hold of one of my fingers to break it, but it's not so easy when you grab all four of my fingers. You can't do it, right? And when I bind myself to other people, so to speak, or connect myself with other people, it changed my outlook on the martial arts industry, on myself and my abilities, on my school and its potential. So I would go find myself a mentor or a mastermind group to connect with.
Great advice. Good deal. Well, I appreciate your friendship, and we're going to wrap this up. It's always enjoyed spending time with you, and I just wish you continued growth and healing.
Well, thank you, sir. It was a joy being here, and I appreciate you so much, not just for your friendship, but your leadership also in the martial arts industry. You are a living example of what it means to be a martial artist in 2024 or 1974. Doesn't matter.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right.
Are you a martial arts instructor looking to improve your teaching skills and build a strong team of future instructors? Well, look no further than the Satori Alliance, an international association of martial arts instructors. Our mission is to positively impact the global martial arts community by establishing a shared level of martial arts instruction, professionalism, and continuous learning. With our instructor certification program, you'll gain the confidence, communication skills, and classroom management techniques to run a professional and well-run martial arts floor of any age group. We invite you to schedule a free consultation with one of our program directors who can evaluate your instructor team's size, schedule, and training content. We'll outline the Satori Alliance master steps that have helped build and maintain strong teams of instructors. To learn more about the Satori Alliance and schedule your free consultation, please visit our website at www.thesatorialliance.com/podcast. That's SATORIALLIANCE.com/podcast. Join our community of passionate martial arts instructors today.
Thank you for tuning in today to our podcast. I hope you found it valuable and inspirational. To stay connected, please subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you go for your podcasts. If you enjoyed today's show, please give us a 5-star review. And we really sincerely would appreciate some feedback. Your feedback helps us to create high-quality content that will help others in the future. If you'd like to follow me, you can go to Dave Kovar on Facebook or Hanchi Dave Kovar on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on next episode.